Good morning. I hope you're doing well on this kind of stormy day. Thanks for taking time and joining me for Women of the Bible Wednesday. Today, we look at the story of Hannah. Although she lived over 3,000 years ago in a world very different than ours, this woman of the Bible faced many of the same challenges and struggles women face today. When her story opens, Hannah is heartsick and unable to even eat because the one thing she wants more than anything else, to have a son, actually to have a child, period, has eluded her. Now the thing is, her husband Elkanah really doesn't seem to care that she hasn't been able to bear him any children. First, because he loves her immensely, just as she is. But second, because he has another wife, Peninnah, who has one baby after another. Now you need to understand that childlessness was one of the worst things that could happen to a woman in that culture. Israelites saw children as a particular blessing from the Lord. So if a woman was barren, she was considered sub-female, unable to fulfill her divine purpose. But also, barren women also felt they were denied the possibility of being the one chosen to bear the Messiah. Still, Elkanah, sensing her sadness and trying to console her, asks her, "Why are you so sad? Am I not worth more to you than 10 sons?" Wow, a husband in the Bible who cares about his wife's feelings. Interestingly, except for Jesus, this is the only man in the Bible who asks why a woman is sad. Jesus asked Mary Magdalene in the garden after his resurrection, and here Elkanah asks Hannah. But even he can't comfort his wife, because Peninnah, the other wife, constantly taunts and provokes her. Yet Hannah refuses to seek revenge or retaliate, or even go to Elkanah and complain. Instead, she weeps and just keeps praying to the Lord. In fact, she poured out her heart to the Lord in the temple at Shiloh one day with such intensity that the priest Eli thought she was drunk. But she wasn't drunk. She was praying and bargaining with God to give her a son. And if he did, she promised she would turn him back over to the Lord's service when he had finished nursing. You know what I love about Hannah is that she was honest about her struggle, but also willing to submit to God and his plan for her life. That's some kind of faith, don't you think? I mean, to pray and wait, all the while trusting that maybe God's plan isn't for her to have children. But in that moment of desperation at the temple, she let go and let God know exactly how she felt. She held nothing back. Actually, she envisioned a son and spoke it out, and then promised if God gave her that son, she'd give it back to God, and then left it in God's hands. And she went home. And guess what? The Lord not only heard her cry, he answered her prayer. He opened her womb, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son she named Samuel, which means heard of God. Can you imagine the joy she must have felt? But what is the most amazing and frankly shocking thing is that after seeing her dream fulfilled, she kept her promise. And although it must have been extraordinarily difficult, after he was weaned, she gave her son back to God and brought him to the temple and handed him over to the priest Eli. You know, I admire her so much because I don't know how she did that. Truthfully speaking, if that was me, I don't know if I could. In fact, I think I'd nursed that kid for a good 12, 13 years before bringing him there, just to keep him with me longer. And maybe then even try and work out a deal. But not Hannah. She returned to the temple with the thing she desired and treasured most, her precious son. And let him go. Let him go, trusting God had better things in mind for Samuel than she could ever ask or imagine. And I guess that's what gave her comfort. Gosh, she really is amazing. But here's the best part. God blessed her by giving her other children. Now, they would never take Samuel's place, but this would allow her to see how God rewarded her faithfulness. And each year, she would make Samuel a coat and bring it to the temple in Shiloh, where I imagine she would spend some time with him. By the way, Samuel will become the last judge and military leader of Israel at a time when the nation was particularly violent and corrupt. But like his mother, he was faithful and just, committed to serving God and his country. Hannah models for us what it looks like to have patience and a willingness to wait on God and trust him, even when things look hopeless. And we learn in her story that God does indeed listen to our prayers, and in his way and his time answers them. But the main thing that I want you to know about Hannah is that she isn't a woman of faith simply because she bore a child. She's a woman of faith because she sought out God when she was in her deepest distress, believing only he could answer her and provide the consolation and purpose in life she so desperately sought. In the end, we learn that in spite of good times or bad, heartache or joy, we can trust God with our present and our future. And that, my friends, gives me hope. Now please, stay safe. Please get vaccinated. Wear your mask when around a lot of people, especially if you don't know whether or not they are vaccinated. Try and always stay hopeful. We're going to be okay. And always, always look for the blessings. In spite of where we are in this world right now and all that's going on, there's still a lot of blessings to be found. Know God loves you, and so do I. And now I'll see you soon. Take care. God bless. Peace.